What's up, everybody? It's the Average Joe Strongman Show, episode number 4. I'm Lee Woody. I'm the Strongman coach, River City Barbell. I'm at a remote location today, which is Mikasa. My lovely co-host won't be joining me today because she is training her little heart out for the Refuge Barbell Strongman Classic coming up in August. So she's at the gym putting in the work. That's my girl. Anyway, welcome to the show. I'm going to go through my standard disclaimer. This show is designed to speak with the average strongman that is competing and looking for additional information, so we're going to try to cover a lot of that stuff. But the opinions, views, and everything that we talk about here are simply my views or the people that we talk to on here. And it doesn't represent those of River City Barbell or any of the companies that we talk about, so don't misconstrue anything. Secondly, I'm not politically correct, and chances are we'll probably use foul language, so if you have small children around, I suggest you move them. So, anyway, that out of the way. Awesome stuff. So, I'm going to go quick through the upcoming events. This weekend, this Saturday, if you have ever wanted to try Strongman and you have never had the opportunity to do so, and you've not attended any of the classes at River City Barbell or any place else around the greater Cincinnati area, and you were going to be in the area this weekend, the Pig Fest in Walton, Kentucky. It's only about a 15-minute drive from River City Barbell. Is having their annual Pig Fest, which is basically a huge festival. It's put on by the St. Joseph's Academy. And actually, it's a huge festival. I mean, there's a jump house for kids, there's games, there's a cornhole tournament, there's a beer tent, there's a band, it's a huge festival. It goes on Friday night and Saturday night. We are going to be right down the middle of the action. We got 3 events. We're going to set up log press, finger, and car deadlift. I'm actually going to have some of the members of the Iron Asylum Strongman team. We're going to be there when it starts at 5:30 on Saturday, 5:30 p.m. They're going to do a quick demonstration for about a half hour, 45 minutes, and we're going to open it up to the public to let anybody that wants to try it can try it. I mean, obviously you have to sign a waiver. It's a $10 fee to do so. But we're going to show you. If you've never done it, we'll show you how to do it. We did it last year. We had a lot of fun. A lot of people showed up. It was a really good time, so we're looking forward to doing that again this year. So that's this Saturday, June 17th. Like I said, come down. If you're in the area, come down, check it out. The Strongman stuff will be there, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. So come on down, check it out. And then next Saturday, a week from this coming Saturday, is the Iron Asylum Summer Team Showdown, which is the team competition we got going on at River City Barbell. There are, I think I've got 6 teams signed up now. And one of the things I'm going to post in the event page here by the end of this week is any entries that I don't have in by Saturday, I'm going to judge because I got trophies and stuff that I've got to get ordered, so to have them for the competition next weekend. So I'm only going to order trophies for the classes that are signed up by midnight on Saturday night. So if you're interested in doing that team competition, get signed up. Otherwise, you may show up and compete, and that'll be awesome, but you may get a Hallmark gift card if you win first place. So get your entries in quick. And then July 21st, Unspeakable Strength. That's Chris Vaccio's comp up at Beyond Limits Training in Reynoldsburg, Ohio. That's absolutely ridiculously heavy contest. Chris basically takes the pro weights and knocks them down a little bit, and then the amateurs get out there and try to move the weight. Last year was some epic lifts last year. Unbelievable stuff, so definitely worth checking out. Then at River City Barbell, the 28th of July is their summer comp, the RPS Summer Slaughter. It's a powerlifting competition. If you're interested in doing that one, you better get set up quick because they're almost sold out. I think they may have a couple slots left. That's it. Then August 4th, Refuge Barbell Strongman Classic. That's Derek Stone's competition down in Madisonville, Kentucky. Derek puts on a great show. We've got 3 of our athletes from River City Barbell going to be competing in that competition. I'll be there. It's definitely worth checking out. And if you're a competitor competing in that comp, Derek Stone does a great job with his contests. He's been doing them for years, and he's got it all figured out. I've learned a lot from Derek over the years of how to put on a show because he does such a good job. Then the Big Phil Classic, that's the Hall of Heroes Iron Gym in Lancaster. That's another Chris Vaccio comp. That's in remembrance of Big Phil Brown. And then at River City Barbell on the 29th of September, the Fall Throwdown. That's their fall powerlifting comp. That's open now for registration. So again, if you can't make it to the summer slot, or make sure you get registered for the Fall Throwdown. And again, register quick because they sell out really fast. And then finally, I just posted the event page today for Labor Day weekend, September 1st. The Saturday of Labor Day weekend is going to be the Iron Asylum's Warriors Call. That is going to be, we're going to do something a little bit different with that one. You can either register as an individual or you can register as a team. The events are set up where we can accommodate either or. There was a lot of interest in people that wanted to do this team competition we're doing next weekend, but either had plans, and I launched it late, so it's my fault, but it got a lot of interest that people still want to do that, so we're opening up this Labor Day comp where we're going to do a team competition and an individual competition simultaneously, so that should be a lot of fun. Press medley, I'm bringing back the old press medley from the Florence Strength Challenge 2 days. It'll be a log, axle, and concrete block. Press overhead. Axle deadlift for reps. The car Hercules hold. We're actually doing that coming up here next weekend too. Truck pull. That'll be a harness truck pull, not an arm over arm like we did in February. And then Atlas Stone Series. So that one will probably be the biggest comp of the year for us. So get registered for that one quick. There's an early bird special. Entry fees are $75, but if you register, I think before the middle of July, they're only $60. And there's a link on the event page for Ticket Bud, so you can take advantage of that. Or fill out the form, put a money order check in there, mail it to me. Okay, so that's the upcoming events. So we talked a little bit last week about the keto diet, and I apologize. My original plan for this week was I was going to have Jim Morris on, and we were going to kind of continue the conversation we had last week about the Bulldozer program, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from that and a lot of requests for more information on that program. But I want to get Jim's perspective on, and actually Jim had brought it up as a good topic of conversation, was how athletes from other sports like bodybuilding and powerlifting and Olympic lifting, so-and-so, how do they transition their programming to adapt to Strongman? So, Jim's been hugely successful in his short tenure as a Strongman. He actually finished 10th overall in the world at Worlds last year in North Carolina, competing against some of the best guys in the business, Zydrunas Savickas, Nick Best, Ken McClellan, and Jim was 10th. He actually beat out guys that outweighed him by over 100 pounds in the first day to make the cut to be there for the second day. Excuse me. And Jim's, he walks around about 240 pounds, so if that gives you any indication. Anyway, Jim's peaking now for, he's training for USS Nationals, so he's not available until his deload week, but he's going to join us on his deload week because today is his heavy day in the gym, so we're going to bring him on in a couple weeks when he's deloading. So we're going to switch course a little bit, and we're going to talk about, I briefly touched on it last week about the keto diet, and I have been on, actually my wife and I both have been on the keto diet now. I think this is our fifth week or sixth week. And for me, when I decided that, or when I didn't decide, but when I found out that I was going to have surgery and knew I wasn't going to be able to train at the level I'm used to training, I figured that now's some time for me to cut some fat off the old man's gut so I can move a little faster. And I've heard a lot of good things about keto, so I decided to give it a shot. So me and my wife both went out at the same time. And she's down over 15 pounds, and I am, as of today, I weighed myself today, which I usually don't give a shit what I weigh, and I don't give a shit what I weigh. It's about how I feel, and am I starting to lose the gut? But I jumped on the scale today at the shop, and I was down 23 pounds, so, which isn't a big shocker, because I ate like shit forever. My wife and I did the Atkins diet years ago, probably, I want to say probably 10 years ago, 9-10 years ago. I did really well on it. I was back to my weight that I was when I got out of the military. I was down to like maybe 265 pounds and was almost in a 34 waist jeans, and I hadn't been that small since I got out of the military. But an Atkins is it's really a low carb diet. It's more low carbs, high protein, low fat. And did really well on it because the same thing. I was eating like shit before, and then I stopped eating like shit and I lost weight. But it all turned to shit anyway because, at that time the kids were still small. Our kids were still small, and it's kind of hard to shop and feed a household where you're feeding half of them carbs and half of them not carbs. So we fell off the wagon and put all the weight back on. So now we're giving it a shot again. We're, in a different mindset, different mind frame. Now I'm a strongman. It's a little bit more motivating for me to, try to do something that's a little bit more not only healthy, but, that I can try to control my weight and at least control not my weight, my body structure. So I've been doing a lot of investigating and discussions with the guys at the gym. Nate Zeiler gave me a book that he read, that basically from the godfathers of keto had written. And then I just recently read another book after that one from a Russian Olympic lifter that has been on keto for years, and he's got a degree in chemical engineering or something, and he's basically broken it down into what supplements you should take as a weight training athlete, how many carbs you supplement. So that's kind of what I want to dig into now. Fortunately, when I decided to go on keto, I had a mentor he's kind of been my mentor for life, my younger brother Cliff, and he's going to join us here in a minute. Cliff's been on it for, I think he's been on it 5 or 6 months, so he actually gave me a lot of insight on, how to get started in it, what do I have to watch out for, how am I tracking it. So I'm going to bring him online. Let's see if I can find him here. Cliff, my younger brother Cliff, is also he's a master's strongman, and for some reason he is not on, so, which is shocking because I told him he was the guest tonight. But Cliff is a master's competitor, strongman competitor. He actually competed in his first strongman comp with me down at, oddly enough, at Derek Stone's Refuge Barbell back 3 years ago. And he's competed at Aaron West show, Michigan Strongest Man. Let me see if I can get him back in. There he is. Let me see if I can get my brother on here. Cliff. Why in the hell? Sorry, it seems like every week I run into some new challenge with this. Technical difficulties, we'll get through it. Just hang in there. I can see him on here. Let's try it again. Why in the hell will it not let me add him? Come on. Alright, Cliff, I sent you an invite. See if you can find that invite and then click on it, and then we'll go from there. Anyway, let's keep going. Like I said, he's been on it for several months now, and he's done really well. He's down 20, 30 pounds, and he's actually developed a higher knowledge of how he has to supplement his carbs for his training days. And fortunately for him, he's built his own gym in his garage, so he has the ability to keep a very steady and consistent training schedule. So we'll see if we can get him on here in just a minute. But speaking of that, one of the things that I've been in for keto, and people, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not an expert at keto. I don't claim to be anything close to an expert. If anything, I'm at the opposite end as a novice. That's why I want to talk about this, because I want to generate some conversation here, and we can continue this into the next podcast. But one of the things that I noticed I couldn't figure out what the hell I was doing wrong was, hang on a second. Hey, I might just have him now. There we go. See if we got him. Says it's adding him, so let's give it just a second. But one of the things that I figured out, the hard way was, there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Clifford Woody, my younger and much larger brother.
Okay.
So what's going on?
Oh, same. How's everybody?
Missing sunshine, but she's at the gym training, so she has her priorities in the right spot.
That's good.
So I thought, that's a good girl. So anyway, you've been watching, so you kind of get what I was talking about. But one of the things I wanted to bring up, and maybe you can shed some light on it as well, is one of the things that I found, and it's when I messaged you the other night about my fat content and ratio, right?
Right.
One of the things that I found was I've got these, hang on, stand by. I got these ketosis strips that we've been using to check and see if we stay into ketosis, right? So,
well, now keep in mind that's a big misconception.
Okay, well, hold on. Let me finish my point, and then I want you to steer us back in the right direction. So,
okay,
what I was seeing was my wife Deb, when we started this, I mean, within 7 days, she's peeing on the strip, and it's got this little range on here. So the darker the color, the more ketones you're producing, I guess. 7 days after, she's melting the end off of the damn stick. Right. So I take it and I piss on it, and I'm negative. I'm like, how the hell am I not? I'm eating the same shit she's eating, and how the hell am I not in ketosis, right? So that's when I asked you the other night about the fat content, because like I was saying before, reading these books and trying to do some research on it, the Russian guy, his book, and his was targeted keto. It was more for strength athletes, and his opinion is that if you don't ratio keto to where it's low carb, medium protein, and high fat, that it can kick you out of ketosis, because if your protein is high, which mine was, your body will actually turn the protein into sugar and kick you out of ketosis. So,
which is correct, yes.
So, well, when you sent me all that information the other night about how I can increase my fat intake, and I got MCT oil, and that's really been that's the godsend. I just put MCT oil on everything, coffee, Skittles, the whole shot, right? And now my fat content's up. 2 days later, I pee on the stick, and I'm in ketosis. So there's, at least according to the piss strips, I am. But so there's something to that. But I want to get your input on it. I mean, like I said, like I was telling everybody, you've been on it for a while. So kind of walk me through how it started with you and your experience so far with keto.
Okay, well, I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but I'm actually a type 2 diabetic, and have had a hard time keeping my sugar under control, and happened to stumble across this ketogenic diet. As everybody knows, or maybe they don't know, the ketogenic diet was originally developed to treat epilepsy. It was actually put in place. I'm not sure who actually developed it, but they've shown that somebody with epilepsy, on the ketogenic diet would actually decrease their seizures by 70% or more. Okay. So that's where it started from. And then as it's grown, people they've noticed more health benefits, not just weight loss. It was never designed for weight loss. It was designed, like I said, to treat epilepsy and other health conditions. The jury's still out as far as how well it does for type 2, but everything they've come across so far is definitely a positive. It's definitely been a positive in my book. But it does a lot of different things. I mean, you get better mental clarity. I sleep like a rock at night now. I mean, I hardly ever get up. Just overall better feeling. Like I said, you think better. My sugar numbers are definitely right in line with almost a normal person. I'm supposed to take insulin when I eat, and I'm barely even doing that anymore. So it's definitely more benefit than just weight loss. To date, I've lost, I would say, I weighed myself this morning, it was 283, so 30 pounds lost so far.
How long have you been?
I'd say almost 4 months. So, there's a lot of benefits besides weight loss when it comes to the ketogenic diet. I haven't felt better in, I can't tell you how many years, being on this diet. Do I miss the carbs sometimes? But more so than not, I'm very satisfied with what I'm eating, which is another benefit, is because you feel fuller longer. If I had to, I could go on a 24-hour fast and not even sweat. I get up in the morning, I have my eggs and my bacon, I have my bulletproof coffee. When lunchtime rolls around, a lot of times I'm not even hungry.
Yeah, same.
I'll either eat lunch, or if I don't feel like it, I just won't do it. I might not eat until 3 o'clock. But yeah, that's that's kind of my, in a nutshell, where I've come from as far as the ketogenic diet. Now, real quick to touch on those keto strips. Don't let that discourage you because you're not seeing numbers on the strip. All the strip is telling you is, do you have ketones in your urine and in your bloodstream? It doesn't mean that you're not in ketosis. To be honest, if you have a high number of ketones on the strip, it means you're creating ketones. You're making ketones. It doesn't necessarily mean you're using them. There's people that are in ketosis that may show nothing on a test strip because their body is using the ketones. So you don't want a high number on those strips. You want a low number because you want to make sure your body's using them. If you're creating them, it's good. It's a good start. But you want to be using them. And that would require a lower number on the strips. Now, that being said, that's not really an accurate way of testing if you're in ketosis. There's 2 better ways. One of them is very expensive. It's almost like a glucose meter with strips where you can test your ketones in your blood system. Now the meter's about $100. The strips are $2 to $3 a piece.
Yeah,
okay.
I was talking with
really
last night.
Really not conducive. Now, actually a better way of testing it, which is more cost effective and it's reusable, it's almost like a breathalyzer. What happens is when you're in ketosis, your body, kind of a byproduct, it creates acetone in your breath. So this meter tests the level of acetone. So if it reads it, then you're in ketosis. So that's another good way. And they sell them on Amazon. They sell them on the internet. They're $50 to $75. No, there's nothing perishable. You just keep reusing it. So that's another good way of doing it. Yeah. So those of you that are using the test strips, don't get discouraged because, hey, I'm not seeing anything on the test strips. And again, I mean, I don't want to burst your bubble, but if you see a high number on the test strips, that doesn't mean that you're in ketosis either.
Yeah, and like I said, when I changed my fat content or my fat intake,
Mm-hmm.
saw a difference on the strips, a noticeable difference on the strip. I mean, inside of 48 hours, Deb has been spiked. Like I said, she burns the end off the strip every time she does it.
Right.
And she's losing weight. I mean, it's obvious in both of us, but
right.
I was just concerned that you know, and I know everybody's body, you know, reacts different to anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? I
Sure
mean, I'm
does.
diabetic just the same as you are, and she's not. So I mean, that could be enough to,
Oh,
you know,
and
be the difference.
that's a known fact.
So
If you have any type of metabolic syndrome, diabetes, you know, Hashimoto's or anything with your thyroid, it's going to take you a lot longer to get into ketosis or get into what's called fat adaptive. That's where you want to be. So it's going to take you longer to get into that zone. So you just have to be patient. This is definitely a diet. It's not a quick fix. It's not a magic pill. It takes work. You know, it takes discipline, because a lot of people, even though I'm eating steaks and I'm eating, you know, like for instance, lunch yesterday, I had 4 beef patties from Wendy's. I had a pound of hamburger yesterday, and that was my lunch. And I was full for hours, you know. So, and that's the stuff that I eat, you know. I mean, I eat steak. I eat, you know, the burger patties. I eat, I haven't eaten a lot of chicken. I got a helicopter going over. Just for the simple fact that, I mean, chicken's good for you, obviously, but it is high in protein, you know, and very low in fat. So
that's one of the things that's been a staple for us. I mean, we've been eating the hell out of chicken, so
right.
that's why I think that my protein was way high, and my fats were probably
Well,
nowhere close to where they should.
Well, honestly, if you like chicken, see, people love chicken. I love chicken. The best way I cook my chicken now is I fry it in bacon grease. Every time I make bacon on weekends, I save all the grease in a tub for the fridge. So every time I get up in the morning, all my eggs are cooked in bacon grease, and I put real bacon bits in my eggs. That's what I have. Bacon is going to be your best friend. Bacon grease, you know, everything that basically your doctors have ever told you, oh, it's going to kill you. You know, it's really not the case. You know, everybody's worried about triglycerides and cholesterol and all that stuff. You know, I'm going to do the same thing you did with a disclaimer. I'm not a medical expert. I'm not a dietitian. I'm just going by what I've researched and what I've noticed, because I just had my blood work done and my cholesterol is down over 40 points. Okay.
Right.
And that's from eating bacon grease, eggs, whole eggs, not egg whites, egg yolks.
Stuff you're not supposed to.
You know, so doing more research, you know, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, what causes your high triglycerides and your high cholesterol is the carbohydrates that you're eating. It has a tendency to hold on to the fats that you're eating, not to mention that the crap food that we're eating is high in the monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. Honestly, you want to eat saturated fats, the animal fats, you know, the stuff like that. That's what you want. That's what your body is designed to process. It's not designed to process anything fake. Everything fake, your body doesn't know what to do with, so it holds on to it. If it can't expel it, it stores it in fat cells. And then what happens with that is they leak into your blood. That's where your high cholesterol, triglycerides, and all that crap comes from. You know, so.
Okay. So 2 more things I wanted to touch on in the keto diet, and first thing is you know, my standard. I'll just go through. Here's what I've eaten today, and I want to go back to kind of what you were talking about a little bit earlier about, you know, not being hungry. Yeah, it's one thing I've noticed on this diet. I feel better all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Had a bad problem with acid reflux. If I ate anything sweet, you know, 2 hours before I went to bed, I'd be up in the middle of the night with acid reflux.
Right.
Just, you know, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Gone as soon as I went on keto. You know, you eat something heavy and you're burping it up afterwards.
Right.
Gone.
Yep.
And then what I noticed after about a week, 10 days into it, was kind of what the same thing you're seeing is when I'm eating, I'm full.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time lunchtime gets there, usually I'm ready to eat the ass out of a skunk, but half time I'm not even hungry.
Right.
I've actually even adapted now, and I've been on this before I went on the keto, and I've actually rolled it into this diet. Is I was doing intermittent fasting, which is basically I told you about that,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm only eating in an 8-hour window.
Right.
When I was doing that, it was 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. I'm right back into that. Plus, I'm on keto because I'm not that hungry. I get up in the morning, and what I've been doing is like here's what I ate today. So I've really kind of shifted my window. But I get up this morning, first thing I eat after I take my pills, whatever. But I ate a meal replacement shake. Redcon One makes it's called MRE. They're a veteran-based supplement company.
Okay.
MRE Light. Very low carbs, protein, fats, everything's in there, all your vitamins. It's a full meal replacement shake.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 4 net carbs.
Okay.
I drink coffee on the way. That's all I eat. I don't eat again until, like today, I ate my lunch at 2 o'clock, and I had 4 slices of pepperoni, 4 she gets pepperoni.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge, right? 4 or 5 slices of pepperoni, 4 or 5 bigger slices of hard salami. I have a Carb Master low carb yogurt, and if you go into the because my vice, the one thing I miss the most about being on keto is chips. I love chips, right? And trying to find that.
I got a fix for that. I got a fix for that.
Pork rinds.
That's it.
Oh my, yeah, that's it. But I got sick of them real quick, right? So what she found is actually in the salad dressing aisle where all the ranch and all the salad dressing stuff. There's bags of, they're called cheddar crisps or cheese crisps. And basically it's like if you've ever baked anything with cheese on it and it falls onto the pan and it burns and it gets crispy. Yep. It's a bag full of those, and they're absolutely awesome.
Right.
So they're expensive as shit. So I'm working on how I can make these myself, because they're like $3 a bag for, a bag this big, but they're fantastic. So that's all I've had to eat today. Mm-hmm. And, when I got home, she made cream cheese stuffed chicken breasts.
Okay.
With jalapenos and cheese and, fantastic. So my average consumption a day is easily 20 net carbs or less.
Right. Which is where you want to be. That's the ideal range to be in for optimum ketosis. For those that want to start at 100 grams or less, and then work your way to 50. Now, there's 2 ways you can approach the keto diet. You can approach it hardcore. I want the most results as fast as I can do it. That's where you intake 20 grams or less of carbs. You change everything overnight to try to get into ketosis. Intermittent fasting, 24, 36 hours, that'll push you into ketosis. That's one way of doing it. It's really hard for a lot of people that don't have the discipline, okay? Method 2 takes longer, but it's a gradual increase, introduction into keto, where, like I said, 100 grams or less start with. Once you've adapted to that, you drop it down to 80, then 60, then 40, then 20, and then eventually your body's not going to crave all that stuff. Now, really quick, is it Bob Rickett? Is that his name? He was asking about the salt. He was saying there's not a lot of salt. One thing about keto, and you know this, is because you're expelling so many carbs and you're not intaking those carbs, you're really lacking in your electrolytes. So you need salt. You need potassium chloride. You need a ton of water. You need to drink at least a gallon of water a day. If you don't like water, this may not be the best method for you, because you need to drink water. I'm not saying soda. I'm not saying Kool-Aid. I'm saying water. Find a way to like water. And that's
I give Rob.
It's crucial.
I give Rob.
What's that?
I give Rob shit all the time, because he's the type of dude, right? You just got to feed him shit, or he doesn't think you love him anymore.
Yeah,
so,
I know. Like I said, the keto diet, when it comes to,
but you're absolutely right, and that's something that talking about the salt and the electrolytes, the potassium chloride. Actually, Johnny Wasino turned me onto that at the Pro Nationals this year.
Yep.
Was Morton actually sells? It's called light salt.
Yeah, or new salt. Yeah, new salt, light salt. It's a fake salt. All it is potassium chloride.
And I just turned Mike Lohman onto that the other day, because he was having cramps really bad.
Yep.
And it's an instant cramp reliever.
Now again, be mindful of how much potassium you're intaking, because too much potassium can be very dangerous. Okay, so salt, potassium, you're going to get a lot of salt from your meats, and your stuff like that. So a lot of it's going to be taken care of. So like I was saying, as far as the ketogenic diet in athletes, this goes against basically anything any bodybuilder has ever been taught. Okay, we're eating high fat, we're eating high salt, no carbs. So where's your energy? All this stuff, right? Yes, you are going to hit a point where you're going to feel terrible. That's called the keto flu. Okay. Anybody that's researched it has heard about it. Okay. It affects people differently. It affects people at different times. Me, it didn't hit me very hard at all. I felt kind of down for a couple days. My workouts weren't feeling great, or I would just take a day off because I was just like, I had that screw it attitude. I just didn't want to do anything. Some people, it'll put them down for days. So you just have to be patient, have to work your way through that. It will pass. It will pass. I promise you it'll pass.
I was probably a week to 10 days, and I knew I was in it because, well, you and me both have it. I mean, we're blood brothers.
Yeah.
We have the sweat disease, right?
Oh, yeah. Sweat naked in a snowstorm, yep.
This shit was in overdrive. I was sitting in my office at work, air conditioning's on, it's 68 degrees in my office, and I'm sweating like the dude from Airplane. I mean, it's pouring off me. I'm like, who in the hell turned the heat up?
Right.
I was a week. I mean, it didn't matter what I did. I was taking 2 showers a day. And it's like I'm just drenched, And that was my body's way of, I think, making that transition. But real quick, the next thing I wanted to segue into is and that's why I brought that up first, is based on what I'm eating a day, the second part of keto that I was really the most interested in, because I'm now starting to get back into where I'm training again with my shoulder recovery, is understanding and this is where I kind of want to lean on you a little bit and get your input on is how are you supplementing carbs, or are you supplementing carbs at all on your training days? And if so, how much, and how much per how much you're doing, or
No,
are you
I'm not.
So you're not taking any.
I'm not doing any carbs on training days. I'm not saying you can't. I personally am not, but I haven't had any competitions in a while, right? So
let me ask this real quick. Let me ask this: what do you think your average net carb intake is a day?
Between 20 and 30.
Okay, so you're right there.
Right. Now, like I said, when it comes to athletes, okay, when you become fat adaptive, here let me put it this way: the average person carries anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 calories of energy with them at any given time during the day through carbs. Okay, average person. That's through carbs, through sugar, through your carb stores. Okay, 2,000 to 4,000. Let's put it that way. So what you need to realize is we also carry 20,000 to 40,000 calories of energy through fat. Okay, so our fuel tank with carbs is very small compared to our fuel tank with fat. Once you become fat adapted, you now have a huge gas tank. All right, and what I've noticed, which I'm sure you've noticed too, is that 230 crash at work doesn't happen anymore, ever.
Right. Yeah.
I had the same amount of energy at 6 at night than I did at 6 in the morning. And that's another huge benefit. I mean, let's take our mom for a good example, right? What was it? 2 months ago, 3 months ago, she couldn't even hold a conversation for 3 minutes on the telephone. She couldn't move hardly. She wasn't eating well. She could barely talk, couldn't hardly breathe. It was Good Friday. I took her to lunch, told her about this keto diet. She started that day. And within probably 3 weeks, you couldn't shut her up. You couldn't get her off the phone. And now she texted me the other day. She walked 1.5 kilometers in 25 minutes.
Wow.
Okay. So right there was she's almost 80 years old. Yeah. So here's a woman that went from could barely talk.
Say that?
Huh?
Glad you said it.
What?
She hears you say that. Almost 80. That'll be your ass now.
Well, I mean, it's closer to 80 than closer to 70. So I'm safe to say that, right? Law of averages.
You're so dead, dude. Oh my God. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a woman. I'm not saying it's to fix everything, but here's an example of, of how it affected one person, not just weight wise. I mean, I think she lost like 17 pounds, but this was much more than just a weight loss plan for her. It was overall health, you know. Yeah, she still has her problems. It didn't fix everything, but it sure made things better. Or made her quality of life better, you know. So I forgot where my train of thought was going, but yeah, she's made a huge improvement, and you know, she keeps working on it every day, you know. But going back to the athlete part of it, right? You were asking about carbs. If you have a big training day coming up, if you have a competition come up, there's nothing wrong with you intaking carbs. Intake 50 grams of carbs with rice or oatmeal or a piece of fruit or something to get you that quick acting carbs during the competition. It's not going to kick you fully out of ketosis. It may take a day or two to get back into full ketosis again, but it's not a killer. It's not a deal breaker. If you absolutely need those carbs, take them.
Well, I think, and the reason I asked that is again, in the research that I've done, reading this book from this Russian Olympic lifter, you know, he actually went through and he said, you know, your body's an experiment. You know, you have to figure out how your body's going to react to different stimulus. So, he had narrowed it down over a course of a 6-month trial period where he was training and then supplementing a very small amount of carbs and then assessing how it affected his workout.
Mm-hmm.
You know, was he better? Did he have more energy? Is he getting stronger? And then he started metering that up until he kicked himself out of ketosis.
Right.
And then started bringing it back. So now he knows where his zone is based on what he's doing. He says it's different. If you're doing aerobic cardio stuff, which I don't do, but anyway, which we probably should be doing more of. But
oh, that's a 4-letter word to me, man. Cardio is a 4-letter word. Conditioning, that's what I like to do.
I know, but he was saying if he's doing, you know, high cardiovascular stuff, you know, if he's running on a treadmill for an hour, his carb intake, he had to vary it from the carb intake he would take like on the days he's in the gym, you know, weight training, you know, his usage was different. And he said the hard part about it is you can actually burn more free carbs powerlifting and weight training than you do on a treadmill for an hour. And he said that actually when he was on the treadmill for an hour, he had to actually extend his workout to burn off all the carbs that he had taken in. And he was talking, you know, for weight training, for every set of reps that he did weight training, he was taking 5 carbs per set.
Right.
So imagine what your standard workout is out in your garage. How many sets do you do of each individual exercise and times that by 5 carbs per set? It's a lot of carbs.
Sure.
But that was kind of the difference. And that's my fear is that, you know, obviously I'm doing this so I can lose some body fat so I can move a little bit faster on moving events, but I do not want to sacrifice strength. If anything, I have to get much stronger. So that's really my next question to you is, before keto and now that you're in keto, been in it for a few months, how do you see your strength growth? Well, is it same as it was before, better than it was before, about the same?
Well,
what do you think?
You know, during the transition period, you know, it sucked. Okay. My weights were down. My energy level was down. You know, that's the keto flu part of it. After that, it's been a continuous, steady increase in strength. Now, am I increasing strength as much as I could be if I was on carbs? I don't know. All I care about is my numbers are going up. That's all I care about. You know, can I make them go up faster? Maybe. But what do I have to sacrifice for that to happen? I feel great the way I am right now. And as long as my weights are going up, I'm happy. You know, like I said, we all know the saying, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint, right? I mean, to be able to add 40 pounds to your bench press, you know, people aren't going to do it in a month. You know, it takes time. You know, it takes dedication, it takes hard work. I'm not lacking anything. Let's put it that way. My numbers aren't going down. I'm not feeling like shit in the gym anymore. I'm feeling good. You know, another thing the keto diet does for you also is it severely reduces inflammation. If you have joint pain, if you have, you know, leaky gut, all that stuff, that really helped with that. Really helped. I mean, I've had, my knees were hurting and my elbows were hurting for a long time and no more, you know. Like I said, it may affect people differently, but for me, I mean, I'm reaping all the benefits. And you know what? If all I got to give up is some potato chips and a bun, you can have them. You know.
I agree. This is something that, I don't want to do for a short period of time. I want to try to stay on this, but I also need to make sure that I can, and I'm going to go through that same experimentation phase when I start getting back into heavy training, which is still a few weeks out. But, when I start training heavy again, I'm going to have to ascertain, number one, do I need to supplement carbs at all? Because I'm going to start in the base with no supplementation, right? I'm going to run that for a week. How does that feel? Then the following week, if I think I need to supplement carbs, I'm going to supplement X percent.
Obviously make sure it's a good form of carbs. Don't grab a Snickers bar and hope it's going to, be your rocket fuel. It's not going to happen, Also, if you're going to supplement carbs, make sure it's a fast-acting carb. Okay, because that will get out of your system faster. It'll give you that boost of energy that you might need, but it'll get out of your system faster. All right. Yeah. Like I said, whoever's worried about the carb intake on comp days or strongman training days, you gotta, like you said, you gotta figure out what your body's used to. Don't be afraid to intake carbs. First, try a strongman day, not a comp, but try like a strongman Sunday without carbs. See how you feel, and make sure it's a legitimate, decrease in performance. Don't think in your head, shit, I don't have carbs, so I'm not going to do very well. Give it your all-out effort. You're probably going to be surprised.
I agree. And I'm excited to get into it and try it just to see how it works. But, this is something that I want to try to stay on long term because, I'm not getting any younger. And if I continue to get fatter, I'm only going to get slower. So, these Masters pros are no joke, man. These guys are just insanely strong. And I've got to be able to rise that level to be competitive. And, I need to be able to do that by being leaner, but I also need to be stronger. So
right.
Several case studies out there. I mean, Johnny Wasino is a perfect example. I mean, Jesus Christ, he can compete in a strongman comp, do a bodybuilding competition the next day. He's been on keto for years.
Right.
Nathan.
If you guys want a really good resource, I mean, there's a ton of resources out there for keto. There is, but one of my favorite podcasts is called The Ketogenic Athlete. Okay. Danny Vega, he used to be a powerlifter and a bodybuilder. He's one of the hosts on that show. And, they bring on some athletes. They bring on CrossFit athletes. They bring on power lifters. They bring on strongmen, strong women. All these people that have been on keto for years and they're excelling at it, Everybody says keto is not a long-term eating plan. I disagree. I disagree completely.
Yeah. Like I said, Johnny Wasino, he's a pro master strongman, and he's been on it for years.
Right.
I mean, it's the definition of that it's able to be successful. You just got to find how it's going to work for you.
Exactly.
I want to interrupt real quick. James Dunn just put a comment down here, and James is a local guy to Cincinnati. He trains actually out of Crunch Fitness up in Florence. This guy is massively strong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he pulls 600 for reps at 10 and then doesn't break a sweat, right? I mean, he's just a monster.
Right.
And he and I have been in keto for about the same amount of time, and I've been talking back and forth with him. But he said on here, I don't ever feel really strong with keto. He said, when I go high protein, I feel a little stronger, but I feel like if I'm ever going to get back to where I was, I need carbs again. So I think that's exactly what we were talking about. I mean, each individual is going to be different.
Well, they're going to be different, but you also, you got to give it a chance. If you, like I said, he may be one of those guys that maybe wants to start with 100 grams of carbs a day and get used to that, and then drop a little bit and get used to that. Just, give it a shot. But like I said, come competition days, if you want to intake 50 grams of carbs, a fast-acting carb, then do it. It's not going to kill you. And if it knocks you completely out of ketosis, because it's kind of like muscle building. Once you've had the muscle and you lose it, it's easy to get back again. Keto's the same way. Once you've been fat adaptive and you get knocked out, it may have taken you 3 weeks to get back into fat, to get to fat adaptation initially. It may take you 3 days this time. You just got to realize, don't be afraid to intake a carb here and there if you're going to use it for a physical event, because you're going to burn that off pretty quick. Okay, I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying you should do it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm doing as much as I can without that, because I want to see what my body can do without that, without the carbs. I mean, you know,
my preference would be the same, because I don't want to have to vary from my diet. And one of the things that, like, and you mentioned, which was an absolutely excellent point, is making sure that if you're going to supplement carbs, supplement the right kind of carbs.
Right.
Actually, I got a intro workout carbohydrate drink from Muscle Gear, and actually I still use it today. It's called Vitargo, and that is a proven fast-acting, fast-burning carbohydrate. If I stick to that, right, if I have to supplement carbs, sticking to something like that I know is a fast-acting carb, and stay consistent to that and rely on that, and I need it if I need it, you know, versus stopping at 7-Eleven and grabbing a bag of gummy bears and shoving them down my throat. You know, I want to stay on this type of keto diet and not vary from it any more than I have to.
Right.
So,
and keep in mind too, I mean, a lot of people are really into supplements and you know, stuff like that. Try to limit that as much as you can. The only supplement I take is a vitamin, and I'll do a pre-workout drink before I work out. That's it. I don't drink protein. I don't do BCAAs. I don't do amino acids. I do none of that stuff. I get all that, anything that I need out of the food that I eat. And your body's going to process it a lot better. I mean, we're not designed to intake a bunch of chemicals, okay? So if you can find a clean source of carbs that's a fast-acting, that's your best bet. If you can't, then what you're talking about would probably be a good second, you know, to do that. And honestly, don't count out the gummy bears either. Just telling you.
I know.
I mean, if you guys watch the CrossFit Games at all, you'll see, you know, Sarah Sigmund's daughter. You'll see, you know, Ben Smith. Those guys, you'll see them in the back. They'll be popping gummy bears or gummy worms once in a while.
Dude, that's great. And when I look like them,
exactly.
Then I'll think about gummy.
Dude, when I look like them, man, I'm buying gummy bears in bulk. I'll tell you.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll tell you. But yeah, don't.
We're on a little bit long.
Okay.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying, you know, just try to get a clean carb if you got to intake it, but try not to if you can afford to. You know, don't automatically think that you need carbs to perform, because there's a lot of people out there that are proving that theory wrong. You know, I haven't had a competition since in quite a few years anyway, so I can't tell you that if I'm going to be better or not. But I'll tell you what, I feel good and my weights are going up, so I can't ask for much more than that.
Truth. Well, hey man, thanks for joining us.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Actually, you need to get your ass down here for Labor Day and compete in this comp.
I got signed up that I'm going, so I just gotta get out of my head and make sure I get down there and do it.
That's right. Cool. Like I said, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you.
I'll talk to you soon, bro.
All right, take it easy.
Thanks. Okay, so we're gonna finish this up real quick. And I apologize. Everybody's got comments going in there. I will answer all your comments. What's up, everybody? I'm going to try this again. I am the patron saint of technical difficulties, so disregard the last 2 live videos I just posted here a few minutes ago, because they're flourished with technical difficulties, much like I had last night on the podcast. So anyway, last night I figured out what the issue was. I think I figured out what the issue was with the podcast when I lost sound. 2 weeks ago when I had Mike Lohman on, I actually used my iPad to record the podcast, and I was recording from home last night, and when I got home, my iPad, I had forgotten to charge it, so it was dead. So I ended up using my phone again, and the week prior to that, prior to Mike's podcast, I had Vaccio on, and I did the same thing and lost sound. So common denominator seems to be the phone. It's a piece of shit. I'm going to get a new one, so that'll happen here shortly. But from now on, iPad for every podcast, and also from now on, once I get a guest online, then they're going to stay for the duration. So hopefully that won't be an issue going forward. So anyway, to follow up on what actually happened in the last minute and a half or 2 minutes that there was no sound on the podcast last night, it was basically just a recap of Pig Fest tomorrow, Walton, Kentucky. It's at St. Joseph's Academy. Come on down if you've never tried Strongman or interested in trying Strongman. It's going to start at 5:30 p.m. and it'll run to, I think the festival runs till 11:30 p.m. So hopefully we are still there lifting up heavy stuff. I've got some prizes from Muscle Gear USA that I'm going to be giving out to the top overall man and woman for number of reps on each event or time. We'll be keeping score of that all day. Come on down, see us 5:30 tomorrow, Walton, Kentucky, St. Joseph's Academy, Pig Fest 2018. So come see us. And then finally, next week we're going to continue the discussion on diets and keto a little bit, and then we're going to segue into the vertical diet, which I've got a couple friends of mine that are on the vertical diet, so I'm going to get them online and get their input as far as the vertical diet, how it compares to keto and pros and cons, things of that nature. And then additionally, I've got two ladies, one that trains at River City Barbell and one that trains with us occasionally, lives up north close to Dayton, that are both registered nurses that had some interesting feedback and valuable information on some of the side effects of keto that we didn't touch on at all. So things to watch out for based on your current health and some of the things that can happen that potentially can happen to you if you stay on keto too long and don't follow the right protocols. So I'm going to see if I can get those ladies on as well. So next week we're going to try to get multiple people on the same screen at the same time and see if we can all talk over each other and nobody will be able to hear anything. So we're going to try that and give that a shot. So that's basically it. Come see us tomorrow, Pig Fest, Walton, Kentucky, and we will see you guys next Wednesday for episode 5. Till then, stay strong, my friends.